So we have our second of the three Marvel Cinematic Universe films of 2025, Thunderbolts. Yes, I'm well aware that I'm extremely late on this, but that can't be helped. I had several things happen that I needed to take care of before I could bother with the review for this film. So I'm finally getting to it. And I've seen a lot of people before the movie came out saying that this is one of, if not the best Marvel film since Avengers Endgame. Now, a lot of those people are the ones that do nothing but bitch any single time Marvel puts out a film since Avengers Endgame, but nevertheless, that is still pretty high praise, because we've gotten some damn good ones. People say that Marvel hasn't had anything good since Endgame. They forget movies. Like, I know a lot of people don't like movies like Love and Thunder. They didn't like Eternals. They didn't like The Marvels, or they didn't like Brave New World either. Some of those I didn't really like either. I recently rewatched Thor Love and Thunder, and it was not good. I didn't really care for The Marvels. Eternals was just okay. I kind of gave it a high score out of spite, but either way, we've had some really great films since Avengers Endgame. Shang-Chi was really good. Spider-Man No Way Home. I'd throw Black Widow in there too. I rewatched that before this movie came out, and I still liked it quite a bit. I thought Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was pretty good. That one's more split, it seems like, with most Marvel fans. There are some that really like it and say it's underrated. Some don't like it. I kind of get why people don't like that one, But yeah, like I said, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, then you have Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, Deadpool and Wolverine. What was the one? There was another one I was going to bring up. Wakanda Forever, even though I honestly wasn't that high on Wakanda Forever. But you, of course, still have the people that bitch about this film. Like, people like Nerdrotic, who I cannot fucking take seriously anymore. He just cannot stop bitching about Marvel. I already roasted him for his dumbass tweet after Brave New World came out, where he said Captain African American is even worse than the Marvels, which is stupid on several accounts. But he literally couldn't think of a way to complain about this. I obviously didn't watch his review because no thank you. But he literally couldn't think of a way to bitch about this film in his title without getting backlash from most people, because it seems like most people like this film. So he resorted back to the lazy-ass fatigue criticism, which is just, it was cowardly. So yeah, people like that, I can't fucking take seriously anymore. I agree, I side with him on politics and stuff, but his Marvel takes are usually shit. But let's get to the actual film itself. Basically, this is Marvel's version of Suicide Squad, just, good. Because David Ayer's Suicide Squad was total garbage. Gunn's Suicide Squad was bad. Don't try to tell me it was some masterpiece. Everybody pretended it was so good because it was a James Gunn movie. James Gunn hasn't made anything good outside of the Guardians films, which is why I'm still not entirely convinced that Superman movie is going to be good. Especially since it seems like there's a lot of self-insertion in that film. There are plenty of other videos that have talked about that at length, so I'm not going to get into it here. But, yeah. So in this film, some villains / anti-heroes from past Marvel films and TV shows end up coming together to stop a larger threat. And these are Yelena Belova, who's Black Widow, or White Widow, I guess. They don't really give her that name. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and U.S. Agent. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Well, then you also have Bob, who becomes Sentry and the Void in the film. And this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review, because this movie's been out for several weeks now, so if you haven't seen it yet, that's your fault. And there are several things that immediately stick out to me about this film, and is that most of these characters were absolute nobodies 10 years ago. But now Marvel has been so successful with making smaller characters bigger names that they could literally just take any villain or anti-hero off the street, throw them into a movie, and they can get people to like it. That's the skill that Marvel has. Like how Iron Man, back in 2008, he wasn't exactly a nobody, but he wasn't the A-list hero that he is today. Like, if you ask somebody if they knew, a non-Marvel fan, if they knew who Iron Man was back in 2006, they'd probably say, you know what, that sounds familiar, but I don't really know. Yeah, somebody nowadays, they immediately know who Iron Man is. Even someone who's never watched a Marvel movie in their life knows who Iron Man is. And this is, a lot of people, what I've been seeing is saying this is what Marvel gets back to what they do best. And one of those things is the interactions between the characters. This has a very Avengers-level feel to it, which makes sense as the movie was slightly retitled The New Avengers, because that's basically what they become at the end of the film. And yeah, I'll get to that end credits scene later, but the interactions are very similar to that of the first Avengers film. They argue, they even fight when they first meet. Well, there's all arguing, but it's not tedious bullshit. It's all entertaining, and it's all very funny, too. That's what made the first Avengers film so successful, or at least one of the many things, was the interactions between the heroes. They worked off each other so well. And here, again, they basically just pulled a bunch of villains and anti-heroes off of the street, and they were still able to make an entertaining movie out of it, which is insane to me. Yelena Belova is still easily the best character here. She's one of the best characters in the MCU nowadays, with some of the best ones like Iron Man and Captain America not being around anymore. She's kind of become the new fan favorite. It'd be her and Thor, but Thor kind of took a little bit of a dip after Love and Thunder. But I remember, I went back and rewatched those other Thor movies, and The Dark World sucked. But Hemsworth has always been great as Thor. He's always been one of the best characters. But Belova has been working up that rank. I really love David Harbour as Red Guardian. He has so much damn energy to him, and he's easily the funniest character in this movie. Lewis Pullman does a very good job as the Sentry / Bob / the Void. This is a Marvel. This is another thing that Marvel's been doing a lot, where they bring in characters or give characters some kind of psychological issue. Iron Man had PTSD in Iron Man 3. Thor got chronic depression in Avengers Endgame. You had Moon Knight, who has DID, obviously, which if you don't know what that means, it's dissociative identity disorder, which you probably know if you watch the show. And now you have Bob, who has essentially bipolar disorder, where essentially some days he has good days, and then all of a sudden he has the days of the void, which is basically what he calls the days that people have where nothing matters and everything, where nothing matters, life is meaningless, you get the drift. Then you have Ghost, who doesn't have a ton of, who probably has the least amount of lines of the people who are in the movie the most, but she's still pretty entertaining. Bucky is here, and he's still Bucky. Then there's Taskmaster, and a lot of people were speculating that they killed Taskmaster off really early, which is why she was kind of inconsistent in the marketing. There were plenty of shots from trailers that had Taskmaster in them, but then were no longer there. Taskmaster was no longer there in other marketing. And yeah, this character is killed off way quicker than I expected to, and in a very different fashion. They all are, sent to, essentially, Yelena, Walker, Ava, and Taskmaster are all sent to go kill each other in the vault. They're all working for Val, and they're basically all sent to kill each other. And I think it's Ava who kills Taskmaster, just shoots her in the head. That's it. So that was a little underwhelming. It was good for shock value, too. It was like, oh shit, I knew she was gonna die, because that was kind of agreed upon, which is why Taskmaster was missing from a lot of the marketing. It's like, oh, this is going to be a really early death to show how expendable they are, kind of like the Suicide Squad did. But it was a lot quicker and a lot different than I was expecting. The action in this movie is a lot of fun. Most of them are very practical, stunt work, heavy fights, and they're a lot of fun. Except for the finale, where it's not really a fight, where it's more of a psychological battle with Bob's basically his two identities clashing, and the Thunderbolts kind of coming together to pull him back from the void. And I really like that. I like how these characters interact off each other. If this were any other franchise, a lot of this would feel a lot of these emotional scenes, especially the one between Yelena and Red Guardian, Alexei, that scene would feel very forced. But here it was earned because we had both the Black Widow movie and the Hawkeye show setting up her kind of emotional breakdown near the end of the film, especially with the death of her sister. I'm wondering where Melina is through all of this, the mother from Black Widow. I'm wondering where she's been, because I don't even think she was mentioned in this movie. A little odd, but okay. I thought I would have more to say on this, but I guess I don't. I guess I should talk about the end credit scene, which sets up Avengers Doomsday, obviously. It also seems like it's trying to set up some kind of civil war with the new Avengers and the official Avengers, I guess, being led by Sam Wilson, even though that hasn't really been established yet. And then they get something passing through a multidimensional barrier and entering the atmosphere, or not quite the atmosphere yet, but it's in the orbit, and it's the ship of the Fantastic Four, which tells us that's how they get here from their universe, which is a completely different universe in First Steps, which I'm assuming will be the end of that film, is them arriving to Earth 1, or whatever they call it. Will be either the end of that film or the mid-credit scene of that film or something. And the funny thing about Fantastic Four First Steps is that all they have to do is make the movie halfway decent, and I think most people will give it a pass, because all it has to do is be the best Fantastic Four film, which means basically it has to just be not dog shit, and it'll be passable. That's it. Really, my only problem with the Fantastic Four so far is fucking Pedro Pascal. Not only is he human garbage, but even if he was a decent human being, he is a terrible choice for that role. But yeah, so that's Thunderbolts / The New Avengers. This is definitely one of the best, if not the best film of Phases 4 and 5. It's definitely the best of Phase 5. If I were to say Phases 4 and 5, this would be fighting for the first spot with Shang-Chi, probably. I'd probably have to rewatch Shang-Chi, but I would probably say this is the best one. Because, again, this kind of feels like classic Marvel again. Shang-Chi did kind of feel... It's hard to distinguish like classic Marvel to modern Marvel, because, again, it's the same company. But this one, they went back to basics and made it a simple film. They stopped doing their multiverse stuff. I'm a little sick of multiverses in general, so I'm glad we got something a little more grounded before we went back to Fantastic Four and all the cosmic stuff and the multiverse stuff. So, yeah, this was definitely an excellent film. I was so happy that this film was as good as it was. It was definitely better than Captain America, which I did still like just fine. But this one's an easy A+. Definitely go check this movie out if you haven't already. So that's all I got for Thunderbolts, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.